This interview is for information only and should not be considered as investment advice or a recommendation to buy shares in the company featured. Welcome to this Stockbox interview. Joining us today is Colin Moore, the President and CEO of Westward Gold, listed on the CSE with the ticker WG and the OTCQB with the ticker WGLIF, and also the Frankfurt with the ticker IM50. So, hello Colin, welcome onto Stockbox. How are you?
Hi Mark, doing very well. Thanks for having me.
It's good to be talking to you, Colin. So as I understand, the company is fairly young, 1 year old. You have a very low market cap at about 6 million, I believe, Canadian dollars. Could you perhaps just start us off by introducing the company and what you're all about? Give us the high-level overview.
Absolutely. So as you mentioned, we're a fairly new entrant into Nevada. We're a small cap Nevada exploration play. And really, as currently constructed, the build-out started in about April when the precursor company, which was called IM Exploration at the time, acquired the Toyabe project, and that kind of became the flagship. And since then, we've built around it. In July of 2021, they acquired Momentum Minerals Limited, which was a private company that I co-founded. So since then, I've taken the reins over as CEO. We've built out the team, built out the board, and tripled our land package. So it started out as 160-ish claims in Nevada. We now have about 40 square kilometers on the Battle Mountain Eureka Trend, and really in a good neighborhood. We're only 10 kilometers south of Cortez Hills, Pipeline, Gold Rush. It's kind of Barracks neighborhood. And they have a lot of property surrounding us. So we've built out the team, and we've been very systematic in our approach to not only putting fresh ideas on old data, and that includes some drill work, some other gravity surveys, etc. Really getting fresh eyes on that from veteran geologists, and going about this over the last year really has been in anticipation of our own inaugural drill campaign, which we're about to kick off in June of this year.
Okay. And what commodities are you targeting?
Gold. We are targeting gold. I should have mentioned that at the beginning.
So straightforward.
I think the name should have given it away.
It does, yes. But just to confirm, it's a gold play. Okay. And why the focus on Nevada? Any particular reason?
So I think, as a startup exploration company, there's enough outside risk to deal with when it comes to, it's by its very nature, it's a very, very high risk proposition when you're doing early stage exploration. So I think the impetus for being in a really safe jurisdiction with a long history of mining where the regulations are very well understood is to kind of mitigate those other externalities, political risk, etc., as much as you can. And Nevada being one of the most well-endowed areas for gold, it's been explored for 200 years, but still significant discoveries continue to be made to this day.
Okay. Well, let's take a little look at the projects then in a bit more detail. Is it right that you have 3 projects that are all in Nevada, but at different stages of production or exploration, I should say?
That's correct. Yes. So we've been piecing this property together. We like to think of them as 3 separate projects, even though they are fully contiguous. Mm-hmm. So there's no gaps in our 40 square kilometer land package. So, but as you mentioned, they are kind of at all different stages of development, and that's why we like to think of them separately. So our flagship is the Toyabe project. We're it's kind of a 3-pronged, triangle-looking land package. And for those of your audience members who are interested, you can go to our website and lots of maps and stuff. But Toyabe has seen previous drilling. It does have drill permits in place. It does have a 2009 resource on it, which is now not current by 43101 standards. It's deemed historical, but that was a near-surface deposit, 170,000 ounces at 1.2 grams per ton, which is fairly high grade for Nevada. And that is the project that we're focusing our attention on right now when it comes to our drill program, because as I mentioned, it is permitted and we do have a lot of data, and that resource represents only a very small fraction of the overall property size. So our goal there is to expand laterally and also explore at depth, because previous operators were really just trying to find an easy open pit heap leachable project. So they really didn't drill, very few holes went past 150 meters. And then moving to the east, our second most advanced project would be Turquoise Canyon. And when I say second most advanced, it's never seen any drilling. So it's not very advanced, but we've done about everything else you can do prior to drilling. So we've done IP surveys, we've done airborne hyperspectral surveys, we've done soil sampling, rock sampling. So that's going to be next on our list of projects to drill, and really, consolidating these two properties together. If we can show that there's lateral extensions of the mineralization, then we're talking district scale potential here.
Okay.
And then the final project we just picked up in December of 2021, we're calling East Saddle. The reason why we call it that is because Barrick actually has a past producing mine immediately, like a stone's throw away from the boundary there, called Toyabe Saddle. And that produced in the early 90s, open pit heap leach. So that project is fully greenfield. To our knowledge, we've done some digging, and as far as we can tell, no company's ever explored it. There's never been any work plan submitted to the BLM on it. So that's fresh ground. But the reason why we picked it up was because it has a lot of the same characteristics at surface to what we're seeing at Toyabe. So we went out and staked that ourselves.
Okay, and when you say contiguous, and that means that you believe it's the same system, the same deposit system that goes across the three different project areas that you have?
We do, but yeah, when I mentioned contiguous, just to say that there's no gaps in our claim package, so it's all fits together like a puzzle piece.
I see. Now you talked there about past exploration there on a couple of projects. What is it you like about these projects? What historical activity has there been to encourage you to see if there's more available there to be discovered?
Yeah, so if you look at some of the old drill intercepts at Toyabe, there's indications of very high grade structures at surface. And I'd mentioned that the drilling didn't go very deep, but the very few holes that did go a little bit deeper started to get little hints of widespread disseminated gold, so longer intervals, lower grade. But when you're looking for these Carlin type systems in Nevada, which is the predominantly what all these large mines are, Carlin systems, they tend to display the same characteristics. So you have high grade structures at surface, and then the big prize is what they call the sea of gold, the sea of disseminated gold at depth. And when I say at depth, I'm not talking that deep. We're talking probably 200 to 300 meters is where we're starting to see some evidence of that widespread dissemination. So that really caught our attention. Also, when we're looking at the properties that haven't been drilled, like Turquoise Canyon, we're seeing a lot of alteration minerals at surface, very strong soil anomalies at surface, and in a pattern that tends to repeat itself. So we're optimistic that with so much land and such a target-rich environment, there really is a potential for a widespread system here.
Okay, and to encourage you in that line of thought about a widespread system, are there any neighbors in the area that are operating?
Well, so we're essentially surrounded by majors. That includes Barrick, Nevada Gold Mines, which is the Barrick Newmont JV. Anglo Gold has a little bit. SSR Mining has a little bit. And if you look to the north of us, it's essentially elephant country in terms of production. It's some of the most significant producing mines in North America. So that includes Pipeline, Cortez Hills, Red Hill, Gold Rush, 4 Mile. These are Barrick and Nevada Gold Mines most important
Okay.
producers in the region, and we're a stone's throw away from them.
Yeah, so you're right in the middle of a lot of activity. That's always a good sign.
Yeah, no, it's very important to have good neighbors, and as the old cliche goes, the best place to look for a mine is next to another mine.
Yeah, in the head, in what was it, in the eyesight, in the eye
In the
line of
shadow of the head frame,
that's it,
right?
in the shadow of a head frame. That's the one. That's the one.
Yeah.
So that's good. Thank you for all of that. I wonder if we can just talk maybe about some of the work you've been doing over the past year. The company, you say, has been really going for about a year. You put out an update just the other day, yesterday, 28th of
Yep.
April, on some of the activities you've been doing. So I wonder if you can perhaps take us through what you've been doing, thinking about the value proposition here with the market cap being 6 million Canadian. What work have you done, and where would the focus be for, well, the next 6 to 12 months to build?
Absolutely, yeah. So as you mentioned, we put out a very lengthy press release, fairly technical in nature, but I'll just go over some of the high level points because it really, I mean, 1 year flies by, but it is impressive how much work we've been able to accomplish in that time frame. So a lot of our focus was on a technology that's called hyperspectral imagery, and our VP of exploration down in Nevada, Dave Browning, is actually one of the world leaders in this type of technology. He's written several papers on it. So essentially, what it does is it shines high resolution light at the core or at whatever you're looking at. In our case, it was old core boxes and RC chips that we had access to. And really, what that does is it creates an objective data set. So each mineral is reflected uniquely. So
Mhm.
you can actually log them in a very objective way, as opposed to the old school method where if you give 5 geologists a core box, they're going to give you 5 different answers most likely.
Mhm.
So really, what that did is it allowed us to kind of reverse engineer these targets. So we're building up a correlation model. So we know based on the assays in certain sections of core, these are the alterations that we're seeing in the core, and these correlate to X and Y grades, high grade intercepts. And then you go back and you say, well, we're also seeing these alteration minerals around here, and we've never drilled here before. So just a really solid tool in terms of drill targeting.
Is it unusual for a company to have this kind of technology?
It is unusual for a company of our size,
Mm,
yes. So as far as I can tell, most of the companies using this technology are the big boys, the Barricks of the world.
okay.
Um, but having access and having Dave being an expert and knowing that technology very well has been a blessing for us. Not only that, but I mean we have access to all this historical drilling, and past operators probably spent $10 to $15 million, and that would be the cost to replicate that. So step one was getting as much information out of existing data as possible, right?
Mm,
We want to be very efficient with our treasury.
mm,
So in combination with that on the drill core, we also flew an airborne hyperspectral survey to complement that, and that was primarily designed for the areas in which there was never any historical drilling. So a lot of the property, mostly Turquoise Canyon, and we also flew over the past producing mine to the west of us that Barrick owns, and what we're seeing is some of the signatures that light up at the historical resource that we have and at past producing mines. We're also seeing similar characteristics on undrilled land. So obviously that helps us vector in on
mhm,
some really good future drill targets there.
mm,
And then just touching on some of the other stuff we did a 17-kilometer IP survey. Again, that was mostly designed for the undrilled areas of the property, Turquoise Canyon, but we did also do IP across the historical resource as a good comparative tool. Obviously, looking at the historical resource, if it displays certain IP characteristics, and then we see those exact same IP characteristics on undrilled land, then that's going to be another prime target for us. That was a big program. We did a massive compilation and analysis on all the old drilling that hadn't been put together before. So about 35 years of work over 6 operators, and putting that into a single database and analyzing that using some of our technical advisory committee members who have found these systems before, very familiar with them, having a look at that. And then, groundwork on the field, soil sampling, rock chip sampling, um, you know, finding just really honing in on these target zones, which are all going to be step outs from the historical resource. We're not going to be twinning any new holes. We're really going to be stepping out and trying to prove out the lateral extent.
So that's a lot of work. Has it been useful? Has it helped you to? What has it told you? Perhaps is a better question. And how do you plan to proceed?
Yeah. So what it's told us is it's kind of confirming or giving evidence to a new theory about how the mineralization is structured and how it's dipping, and we're going to be testing that in our new drill campaign. And essentially, everything we've done leading up to this point, the proof will be in the pudding, in the drilling, obviously, but we're trying to de-risk our targets as much as humanly possible before we put the drill holes in.
Okay. So in terms of news flow, the market can expect to see some news of drills turning and then the subsequent results.
Yeah, that's going to be the major catalyst on the horizon.
Okay.
We're just, we're going to be doing some earthwork. There's a very good network of roads from past operators, but we're going to be building some new drill pads, some new roads, and obviously, once the drills start turning in June, we'll be keeping everyone abreast of that on an ongoing basis, and then we play the waiting game on the assays. And yeah,
good. So a summer of exploration. That sounds good. Well, Colin Moore, the President and CEO of Westward Gold, thank you very much for your time.
Thanks, Mark. Really appreciate it.
If you enjoyed this interview, then give us a thumbs up, a like or a retweet. Subscribe to us on YouTube or follow us on Twitter and hit that notification bell to be the first to know when we release new content. There's loads of great content on our website too, across all our programs at stopboxmedia.com. Thank you for watching.